Hello everyone, I hope you've had a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I didn't do a message on YouTube, but I did send some tweets out, so I hope you got them. And I wasn't planning to come back onto YouTube, but I have mountains of work to do, and I'm putting together my case, which is not in the too distant future, and it gives you a bit of a migraine looking at all this legal stuff so frequently. So I thought that I would just do this video. This video again, what I do is I write a lot of stuff on the Young Turks, on their comments, because first of all, I want people to keep replying in the way that they do, so that other liberals who are reading this stuff will see just how disgusting people treat and how contradictory they are. So I made some comments on this particular one. Monster7781 says this channel is a joke. So I reply to Monster and I say it's where I tell people who call me a racist and Nazi that the reason they call me a racist Nazi is because I simply speak out about being a victim of a migrant rape crisis in Europe. Savvy obviously gets annoyed by this, and there's a bit of a dispute between myself and Savvy really shows themselves to be quite obnoxious, really. Never ever have witnessed a rape in Europe. Living there a long time, it's all made up. What I did see in Europe is beautiful infrastructure, affordable healthcare, balanced taxes, low mortality rate by crime, health safety regulations, peace and serenity, representation in politics and freedom of speech. So, darling, that's why you're hearing what I have to say, freedom of speech. And we don't have freedom of speech, we have freedom of expression. That's different. I reply, Savvy, I'm curious how frequently you witnessed any rape. Just because of the way they phrased it. Are all rapes made up or just politically incorrect rapes? Does the fact that the following week I underwent brain surgery to have a tumour removed even out that political incorrectness, or does it make it worse? After all, I was a minority in that I had a disability. Social Free State. Never in my life I've witnessed a rape. I'm sorry for whatever happened to you. It's not normal that rape even exists in the world, but come on. But, there's the but. In my humble opinion, rape by the migrant rape crisis in Europe is pushed by the EU political spectrum, or an anti-EU political. So what Savvy is saying is that rape isn't normal and shouldn't exist, but if you're raped by a migrant, then it's a political agenda. Too bad for Grandpa. Jumps in, check out the channel, and seeing how she waited and went to police after 1 year. It's hardly a credible story. Well, why is that? People do tend to suppress trauma, and with that, memory of trauma. So does that make it incredible? And that will be an explanation as to why it's so hard for rape victims to come forward after they do. So too bad for Grandpa. You aren't helpful for this sort of problem. Savvy. An example how Europe works. This New Year's celebrations, a couple of women got sexually harassed in Europe, Germany. Those men got arrested almost instantly, but whole Europe world knows the same day it happened. And rightly so, they should do, because there is a problem in Europe. No such vile crimes will ever be allowed or ignored in Europe. I reply, are you aware of Pakistani Muslim grooming gangs in England across 72 towns and cities? Are you aware of child victims in Manchester, 1400 plus? Are you aware of the ongoing grooming? Are you aware that authorities did not act on information for the sake of political correctness? Are you aware that in 2017 Manchester did not record over 32,000 sexual assaults and closed down its sexual offences unit? Are you aware that detectives from that unit have been murdered or imprisoned? But seriously, anti-EU? No, last time this stuff happened in the UK, there was a huge establishment paedophile ring being covered up and harming boys and girls in care homes. And that relates to in the 60s, 70s and 80s, when social services used to take children off parents and put them in care homes. Those children were abused, and it was frequently the elite, like the establishment, television stars such as Jimmy Savile, who were abusing those children who were removed from their parents' care, which is why so few people trust in the establishment these days. Anyway, I go on to say, anyway, anyone with a powerful shield to cover them in our legal system is a powerful threat. Racism is a powerful word in our legal system and a powerful shield. You might believe that what is happening is something to just roll your eyes at and huff Brexiteers. As someone who has and still is going through this, it is far more serious than an eye roll. He replies, only question is the police aware of your claims, going back to what Grandpa said, to discredit what I'm saying. Anti-EU is based on the title from your video. Oh, right, okay. Are you furthermore aware that Pakistan and India were a part of the British Empire, and this has nothing to do with anything of the EU? EU may be part of the Schengen Treaty, but UK isn't. Well, obviously, I did say that he was a stranger, so that is how he appeared. So I talk about how he appeared, his skin tone and his appearance. I can't say whether he was a Muslim, and I do not say whether he's a Muslim or anything like that. And likewise, I don't like to say where he was from, but he appeared to be from those places, and he didn't speak the language. This was too bad for Grandpa. Did you realise that a person who undergone brain surgery the week after such a traumatic event will suffer from loss of memory, as all victims do? Perhaps politically correct victims are supposed to recover quicker? Or are you a white supremacist who believes I should recover quicker because I am white? Savvy goes on to say, sorry, but in my view, lost all credibility by combining this story with EU refugees. Did I say that it was EU refugees? I wouldn't know whether he was a refugee or not. During the rape, I didn't say, excuse me, darling, could you just answer some questions? Are you a Muslim, and are you a refugee or a migrant? Yeah. He certainly didn't speak the language. Savvy, why is that your only question? Why are you not concerned about what I have told you about my reporting to the police? But my reporting to the police. I reported to the police 1 year later. I was raped the week before I had to undergo brain surgery for a brain tumour. The migrant had followed me, knocked on my door, forced me and raped me. I could not report it immediately after. I would not have got the necessary surgery to have the tumour removed until the investigation was over. He is a migrant and I didn't know him. He is untraceable. Children in schools get arrested for asking to sit with English-speaking students here in the UK. So the crime against me, I should have explained the racism in that, or apparent racism. So crimes against me will and does offend many. You are an example of those who are offended by a rape victim. My question to you is, just how liberal do you think you are when you disbelieve victims of rape? Or is it certain victims of rape who offend you, politically incorrect rapes perhaps? Do you believe that victims should be allowed to speak about what happened to them, or only certain victims? If the latter, why? Savvy doesn't answer any of those questions. There's a lot of questions for Savvy to answer, but nothing. Savvy, why does that lose credibility? Do these males not rape or molest or abuse, in your opinion? Can you explain Cologne, Sweden, British attacks? So if someone says something that makes you feel uncomfortable, you will distrust it for the sake of your comfort? Isn't that type of selectivity rather selfish and unhelpful for women's rights? Is it not enabling? Are you likely don't believe in women's rights based on what you have revealed, but others do. And then Savvy goes on to criticise that I have PayPal on my website. That doesn't help convincing me either. Then defends it by saying Cologne New Year celebrations 2015-16 were illegal criminals that hopped from Morocco and other northern African countries, so migrants and some economic asylum seekers. Migrant crisis, yes? Dear me, Savvy, you are stupid, aren't you? They were real, and the victims, they really did go to the police. Well, I really did go to the police, you idiot. The ones that could be traced are dealt with by the police and court systems. Yes, I'm aware of that, Savvy, but you're still saying that I'm incorrect because of this. You can't hardly expect if they would have gone to the police a year later that would help justice, but it also doesn't deny the fact that it happened, sweetheart. Obviously, victims like myself receive plenty of abuse and cruelty in the wider world. This is my response to the Savvy criticising my PayPal. People not willing to believe us because of the politically incorrect nature of the topic. Again, you provide plenty of evidence to reinforce this. Do you not believe that victims deserve a forum whereby they can communicate with people who are understanding? Do you think I want something like that rather than being demonized? I would certainly like to help fellow victims, and few do. Of course, how do I help with no finances? I'm also interested in why you evade all my questions. Simple answer, I don't believe you. So why should you want to look for my approval or want what you called my verbal abuse? Well, I never said that you were verbally abusive, and you actually, I didn't look for your approval. You just started hammering at me, saying that you'd never seen rape in Europe, and you're saying that I'm pushing the anti-EU political agenda, which is not the case. I certainly did vote Brexit. Thank goodness, I was able to recognise problems with Europe. Anyway, that was, I'm going to keep on typing on the Young Turks because I think it's interesting to see what those liberals think when they see their fellow liberals talking to a rape victim in this way. I disbelieve you because of how you, you know, because of the politically incorrect nature of this. So I think that while I am doing that, I might pop a few of these up just so that it's interesting for you to see, and it's just recorded so that other people can see what the likes of myself, victims like myself, and others have to deal with if we do talk about it, because it's not easy to deal with this kind of thing when I clicked like so that I could find it again. Yeah, it's not easy to deal with that kind of criticism from people who, say yes, we need to defend rape victims. Oh, but if it's a politically incorrect one, then we can't, help with it. Anyway, I hope that once a month uploads is okay for the time being. I'll say it's going to be once a month. It might be more frequently, but I don't know at the moment. I've got a lot of things to do. So it's quite windy outside. So anyway, thank you very much, and I will upload at some point again in the future. Please check out my blog. Please follow me on Twitter because I blog a lot more often than I do the videos because I don't get the grief that I do. I don't get the grief on blogs that I get through my videos, and it's not something that I'm coping well with at the moment, considering the legal battle which I have to go through as well. So anyway, take care everyone. Bye.